Hello and welcome everyone. I'm Kartik Nagarajan, and today on this podcast by Nexdigm, we'll be talking about expectations from digital transformation, internal efficiency, and customer delight. Digital transformations forcing companies to change their business models and adapt to the new market reality. It has the potential to optimize business operations and drive workforce efficiency and growth in the new and the existing markets. But what's more interesting to note is that organizations are now looking to improve the customer service experience, have turned to digital solutions more. To further discuss the expectations from digital transformation, we have Vikas Wadhawan joining us today for the podcast. Vikas is the Group CFO of PropTiger.com, Housing.com, and Makan.com. He has more than 17 years of experience in financial management. In the last 10 years, he's been associated with tech startups and participated in scaling up the business from the early stages. He was also recognized as the Young CFO of the Year for the tech startup category in 2018 and was named in the CFO Power List in 2019. It's a pleasure to have you, Vikas, with us today.
Thanks, Kartik. Thanks for inviting me on this podcast. Really looking forward to our discussion.
Thank you, Vikas. So we'll start with a couple of questions for you. So the first in the list is digital transformation as an initiative drives internal efficiencies and ensures customer delight. Would you agree with this view? If yes, and why?
Yeah, very pertinent question, Kartik. And I think before we go deep into this topic, I think it's important to make sure that we all are aligned in terms of what do we mean by digital transformation. For me, the transformation is not simply the use of technology in our existing processes or businesses. It's a journey to transform the business with the use of technology, which results into a fundamental change in the way we operate and deliver the value to the customer. The value can be delivered to the customer only by creating efficiencies in the business. We can't just be inefficient and expect to deliver customer delight. So you have to make your business more and more efficient to deliver superior customer experience or customer delight. A transformational journey in my view should be focused on providing customer delight on the back of creating internal efficiencies significantly in the business. And I'm completely aligned with what you just mentioned, that this initiative drives internal efficiencies and ensures customer delight. And we've seen many such examples where people have used technology in solving consumer and customer problem by creating efficiency or efficient business models and disrupted some of the businesses completely. There are examples in shared economies ecosystem, whether it is we look at the cab hailing services, we look at food delivery services. They have, on the back of digital transformation and in solving the consumer problem, disrupted some of the existing businesses. So I'm completely aligned with what you just mentioned, Kartik.
Yeah, and it's a very important view. Some of the things that you mentioned, Vikas. So as a so let's say if an organization wants to drive all this, what would be your view? How can organizations ensure they set the right objectives and therefore meet them through digital transformation? What's your guidance for those organizations? How should they go about doing this?
This is the most tricky part. As I said, till the time there is a complete alignment that what we want to achieve in terms of our transformational journey, it's hard to get hard to tread on a transformational journey. As I mentioned, it's not simply adding technology solution here and there in the processes. That's not what digital transformation means. That is rather digitization, which is very different from digital transformation.
Okay.
So I think it's super critical to first get alignment among the internal stakeholders in terms of what are the clear objectives which they want to achieve in this transformational journey, right? As I said, it results into fundamental changes in the way the business is operating today, and hence may have conflict at different stages during this journey. So we should all be clearly aligned and should be ready for those conflicts, how those conflict needs to be handled along the way. Because unless and until there is an alignment and there is a commitment to that digital transformation journey, I have noticed that whenever the conflict arise, digital transformation always takes a back seat vis-a-vis the short-term goals or short-term revenue pressures or P&L pressures and so on and so forth. But the, as it always says, the light at the end of the tunnel is very, very bright. So we all need to keep on focusing on that light while the tunnel may be very dark along the way. So that's where it is important to set the right objectives, but at the same time also it is important to know that you are talking about a fundamental shift in the way we operate the business. So while directionally you can agree to the objectives, but sometimes it may be hard to know that what the end result will gonna be. So ROI, ROE, or payback periods kind of matrices, you can't set it right up front, but directionally we can agree among the stakeholders that how the journey will gonna look like and what are the end goal we want to achieve. That's how we should be. I'll give you an example just to make it understand better. I mean, look at Netflix, right? Netflix could started from zero and suddenly become the market leader in OTT space, because yes, they took a very transformational approach in terms of providing the content and entertainment to the consumer. At the same time, there are many broadcasting companies or content companies who were providing a similar experience but through television or satellite channels to the consumer. So Netflix could cover this journey at a much faster pace because they did not have any conflict vis-a-vis their existing business model. So they started from zero and ran very fast. But if you look at many other traditional broadcasters or entertainment companies, while they are trying to shift to OTT, some have made significant progress there, but they are still kind of treading on both the boats, where they're continuing with their old model. They are trying to grow their OTT model, and hence not able to achieve or create the value which Netflix has created for many of their customers.
No, agreed. Some of the things that you said is, while there is light at the end of the tunnel is long and dark, right? So, given the scenario, I'd like to know that generally digital transformation journey itself is very long. So, how would one keep track of the progress and ensure that we remain on the right path to achieve broader goals, right? Because there are conflicts, there are issues, there are short-term goals. But how do we actually ensure that we're on the right path and continuously focus on achieving these broader goals? What's your take on that?
It's tricky. I think if one will ask me the simple mantra for that, I would say be very agile and nimble in your approach. Because the fact is the tech space is evolving very fast. It's changing dramatically, and things are rapidly changing, right? So unless you follow a agile and nimble approach, sometime it becomes tricky, because by the time when you thought of your digital journey, you may have decided certain technologies, certain infrastructure, and so on and so forth. But by the time you've completed your journey, some of the things are kind of displaced or replaced by some new technologies and new type of things. So it's important to be agile and nimble in your approach. Business cycles are comparatively becoming much smaller nowadays as compared to maybe a decade or a decade and a half ago. So that is also an important thing to keep in mind. It is hard to accurately draw a journey or draw the outcomes of a digital transformation journey, that this is what you want to achieve. But I think it is a good spot as a group or as a team of internal stakeholders and gets aligned to the directional outcome for this longer term goal. Something like, let's all agree that 50% of our revenue contribution at the end of this journey should be contributed by new channels, something like that.
Sure.
So this is the broader goal which we should set, but at the same time we should define interim milestones we should define different checkpoints, that what are the 5 things which we need to keep a watch on and test if we are on the track or not at interim milestones is super critical, because the biggest risk of a transformational journey is because it's long, and unless you keep on doing that check at every point, you may kind of go off course and realize much later in the game that, oh, you've directionally gone in a different direction.
Correct.
So keep those checkpoints, keep those interim milestones, and keep testing your assumptions at those milestones and at those checkpoints, and keep your approach agile, so in case needed you can course correct, you can deploy more capital if needed, or maybe if the things are not going in the right direction, you may pull the plug and go back to the whiteboard and think differently, that how do we kind of take the path forward. So that's how I would suggest we should cover this journey and keep a close watch on how we are progressing.
Absolutely, very insightful. So that also, therefore, brings a very important question, right? So, in any transformation journey, especially once the journey is complete, people say, "Wow, we achieved our success." Should we take time after it is successful to say, "Okay, we have to measure, the pre and the post phase performance. Where did we do right? What things could have gone better?" The post case analysis, and what's your take on that? So, how do you actually measure the pre and the post phase performance?
It's very simple, easier said than done, but it's simple. If we have clearly laid out our objective at the beginning, then that is the starting point in terms of how should we measure our performance in pre and post phase. As you rightly started in the beginning, that the two important drivers of a digital transformation journeys, efficiencies and customer delight. I think we need to measure our pre and post phase performance on these two critical axes, and plot whether we've achieved our goal in terms of customer delight. Have we created enough efficiencies in the business so that we can deliver that customer delight on a sustainable basis, or not? And that's how I would suggest we should compare the pre and post phase performance.
Yeah, makes sense. I also remember you talking about making investment decisions, right? So, how should one go about making those investment decisions on digital transformation projects, and or prioritize these projects over others, which can have a major impact on the business results in the short run? So, what's your take on that?
See, the biggest challenge, Kartik, for that is that if you compare your digital transformation projects and investment in those projects with your ongoing core activity, which is core to the business, and delivering results in the short term on a quarterly and a monthly and a yearly basis, you'll always find it challenging, right? Because transformational projects by definition are slightly unpredictable in terms of the exact value and benefit you're going to deliver. Rather, they are only directional in nature. And as one rightly said, sometimes you need to take a punt, because if you start thinking of your business fundamentally differently, so essentially you're trying to disrupt your existing business model. So as someone rightly said, either you disrupt yourself or somebody else will gonna come and disrupt you. So with that, you need to, when you make investment decisions for transformational journey, you need to take a leap of faith and agree on a transactional journey, that directional journey, that this is what we want to achieve, and hence this investment. But I completely understand that the resources are not infinite, right?
Yep.
And hence you have to make those decisions, that how much needs to go into your day-to-day business, into your core activities, which will gonna get you quarterly results, monthly results, annual results, because that's also important. That ship has to continuously run very efficiently, so that you can create enough cash flows to fund your digital journey, right? So I think how I do it internally is we allocate capital in 3 pockets, which is our core, extend and transform. core is very, very core, day-to-day business operations, monthly, quarterly results, and annual results. Extend is when we take and these are very, very measurable. Every dollar spent or invested in these core activities, you can measure the outcome which you're going to drive out of that. So you can put hard matrices, you can track it, you can see the results and drive the business in a certain direction. Extend is something where you say, okay, now we are doing this business, we want to extend to the adjacencies, and hence you want to deploy some more capital. Again, these are close adjacencies to your core business. You can easily predict what the rub-off effect will gonna be. While it will not be as clear as core, but you can still make those projections and create those ROI, ROE, and payback kind of models, and do the investment decisions. Transformational, as it's slightly disruptive and transformational in nature, it's hard to predict the tangible outcomes. So ROI type models we don't apply there. We keep directional objectives. We keep the percentage of capital or investment which can be deployed in these pockets, and continue to invest that capital in transformational projects and keep on evaluating, are we headed in the right direction or do we need to course correct? So that's the kind of framework I would suggest the CFOs or the companies should adopt while making investment decisions for transformational projects. And that percentage which you can allocate to transformational projects, it depends from industry to industry, it depends from business to business, it depends from how rapidly the industry is evolving in a particular business segment. So that's how you can take those calls.
Yeah, makes full sense. And talking of disruptions, right? We all know that digital transformation projects more often than not lead to disruption and fragmented progress, right? What can be done to ensure that employees still remain motivated to deliver on those expectations? And how important, according to you, is employee experience in ensuring the success of digital journey?
See, we are a tech business, and what we have are two things. One is our technology IP, and two is our people. And beyond that, we don't have anything. And even for some of the traditional businesses, when they talk about digital transformation or transformational journey, people play very, very important role in the success of these projects, because at the end of the day, that journey needs to be treaded by people with the use of technology and transform the businesses. So it is super, super critical to keep your people right at the center when you plan for these transformational projects. It is equally important to make sure that people adapt, or people are fully aware of what are the objectives. There is a clear context setting, establishing the importance of such project, aligning people in different pockets and at different level of hierarchy to those transformational project. Do the regular communication on the progress of the project so that people are aware of what's happening, and at the same time keep on investing in upskilling the people, because you may end up delivering a transformational project, but if you don't end up upskilling your people for a very different world, then you may find it very, very challenging to kind of sustainably manage that new era. So these are the things which are very important, and hence adoption of any transformational outcomes or projects is hugely dependent on how aligned and motivated people are for such projects.
Got it. So thank you, Vikas, for sharing your valuable insights on expectations from digital transformation and how organizations gain internal efficiency as well as enhance customer experience by leveraging digitalization. I'm sure that all our listeners will find your insights very helpful. And thank you everyone for listening in. If you have any questions on this subject or have suggestions for future topics, please write to us at thinknext@nexdigm.com. Thank you, Vikas. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Kartik.